Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the Intel UHD 770, which is an integrated GPU from Intel, obviously, in 20 popular titles in 2023. So this iGPU can be found in a lot of Intel processors from the 13 and 14 series, and it varies a little bit in clock speed. I have it inside of my i5-13600K, so it boosts up to 1550 MHz. On an i7, it would boost up to 1600 MHz, and on the i9 13900K and 14900K, it boosts up to 1.65 GHz, or 1650 MHz. Now, when taking a look at the GPU specs, you can see that it's clearly not meant for gaming. It's just for like diagnosing the PC, or if you were waiting on your GPU, at least you can set up Windows and stuff like that, right? Like, it has 32 execution units, 256 shading units. That's really low. It's less than like a GT 1030 in CUDA cores. But you know me, we gotta test it in a ton of titles, right? Now, as this is an integrated GPU, it will use system RAM as its own VRAM, and we got 32 gigabytes of DDR5 running at 6000 MHz CL36 in dual channel. And finally, let's see what the UHD 770 can do in 2023 after we go over our sponsor. Shall we? Do you want an efficient and fun way to move around town? Then I present to you Meepo and their Meepo V5 electric skateboards. This is a beginner-friendly board, and believe me, it's way easier to ride than it looks. I had zero experience with skateboards before, and it only took me about a week to be able to ride it. You get 4 riding modes with it, from a beginner and somewhat slow 9 km per hour to the top pro mode, which actually reaches 45 km per hour maximum. That's really fast and a bit scary, at least to me, so be careful. It has either an 18 or a 32 kilometer range, depending on what version you choose. You can control everything with this little controller, and if you opt for the version with this screen, you can see a lot of information there, including the speed you're going at, the modes, and so on. It all feels very responsive with non-noticeable input lag, which is of course very important, both here and in the games we're about to play. Unfortunately, we're not going to be as lucky in the games today, but if you are interested in learning more about the skateboard, there's a link down below in the description. Alright, let's start easy with Counter-Strike 2. We're playing at 720p using the lowest settings, aside from FSR, which is disabled. Okay, oh my god, what was that stutter? Jesus, what the hell is happening? I wasn't really expecting stuttering, but okay, maybe it was just because we joined, okay? There we go, good stuff. I can still play the game, absolutely. Oh boy, everything's alright. Yeah, not a lot of people in this server, are there? Oh my gosh, how did we get that guy? Or actually, how did he not get us, right? Come on. Oh, there we go. We're also gonna check out some smokes at the end of the benchmark run, my friends, here in Deathmatch. This is just so I can get a feel of the game, you know. I believe with smokes it will probably drop from 60 FPS, unfortunately. But hey, at least it's playable, right? I am playing the game, and I am actually killing a bunch of people. How many times have we died? Oh, where is the deaths? What? You know what, guys? Once you get used to the input delay here, it's not too terrible. And if you lock the FPS to 60, I think that's the best way to play this game on this integrated graphics. Not that a lot of people are going to play games on it. Again, like, if you have money for a 13600K, why don't you have a dedicated GPU, right? What are we doing in second place? Oh, the first guy has 710 points. Are you kidding me? I wanted to get 710 points, or at least 669, or 666. Come on. Oh, 669, look at that. I will not kill anybody else, so we end with those results, my friends. That's the perfect number. I consider myself the winner of this deathmatch. Oh, look at that, guys. Looking in this direction, because a ton of people are here, it's actually dropping like crazy. Damn, casual is way more intensive. What is this? How is... Okay, now we got a bunch of smokes in the map. Looking in the middle of the map, it drops like crazy, of course. And over here at the edge of the smoke, well, zooming into it doesn't really drop our FPS, apparently. That's good to see, but it drops into the 30s. Holy crap! That is way worse. I guess you should stick to deathmatch. Or maybe even competitive, if you don't mind the drops from 60 FPS near smokes and fire effects like these. Because in competitive, of course, there will be way less people in the map and it's gonna be way less intensive. Uh-oh. Come on, come on. No. Let's move on to the next title. Okay, so that was a good start. Let's make it worse. Cyberpunk 2077 is next at 720p using the lowest settings. I set everything manually to the lowest. No, this is terrible. Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. This is a freaking UHD 770. What was I expecting? Oh my god, it drops from 20 frames per second. At least those frame times are not terrible, you know. I've seen worse frame times with much better GPUs. So it stays at like 18, 19, 20 frames per second. It's a very consistent experience indeed. And you know what? For some people, very few people out there, but for some people, this might actually be playable. I mean, 12-year-old El Crespo here was playing Bad Company 2 at 20 to 25 frames per second, sometimes 30. So this not being a first-person shooter, at least not most of the time, with 20 FPS would have been playable for me at that time, guys. But let's go ahead and use some upscaling, because we have it here, of course. Let's use Performance XeSS first, alright? And wow, that's actually looking pretty decent. Woo! And we're getting 30s. Oh, damn, that's a lot better. So we got a lot more FPS compared to the XeSS off, but it's still dropping from 20. Goodbye, Bob. There we go. This is what I wanted to do. Now I feel great, my friends. But yeah, it's dropping into like the mid-20s at times. I mean, if 12-year-old El Crispo would find the 20 FPS playable, 28 FPS on average is definitely playable, right? Obviously, for somebody who has used a dedicated GPU for the last, what, 15 years, this is terrible. Okay? But hey, at least it opens the game and it does not stutter whatsoever. Let's try it now with FSR2 on performance, not ultra performance. Ultra performance looks really, really bad. And, okay, this is a little bit worse looking than XeSS, and it's kind of getting the same FPS, isn't it? Yeah, exactly the same. Well, ultra performance it is. Oh, it's a pixelated mess, but at least it's above 30 FPS. We finally did it, my friends, with a resolution of, what, 360? No, it's below 360p. It's like 240p or something like that. I'll put it on the screen. But yeah, at this insanely pixelated mess of a resolution, we're finally achieving 30 plus frames per second. Although our 1% lows are now pretty low, so it's not as consistent as previous. I got stuck! Are you serious? I am stuck here! But yeah, if it's getting 30 plus right here, it will get 30 plus in like 95, 97% of the game, which is a playable frame rate. Unfortunately, it's not playable now because the visuals totally suck. Let's move on to the next title. The legendary GTA 5 is up next. We're playing at 720p resolution using the very high textures and high settings everywhere else. I could play it at 1080p, you know, these are all turned off by the way. In fact, I started it at 1080p with normal settings instead, and I was seeing around the same FPS, a little bit lower actually. But I prefer these settings on high and a lower resolution. It's integrated graphics anyway, so you're probably used to low resolutions if you're playing on iGPUs. So this is fine. Everything looks a lot more alive and everything pops more because of the shadow detail, lighting detail, and so on. Now, we're getting above 60 frames per second so far. That's actually really impressive for the little UHD 770, guys. I mean, this is a 10-year-old title, basically. It released on PS3 10 years ago. But at the same time, the UHD 770 is bad, is very bad, especially if you compare it to other iGPUs in the market, like Radeon 780Ms, even like the 660M, which is a mid-range iGPU from AMD, from last generation. But yeah, so far so good, getting 70s on average, 60s on 1% low, actually 59 right now, but this is where everything is going to hell. First of all, because we are going to see Bob, and second, because the FPS are dropping here, but only into the 50s. That's not too bad. Yeah, alright. Hello, Jack, how's it going? I totally forgot about you for a second. Alright, going down here inside of the bushes is where the FPS are going to drop the most, and it gets 47 frames per second, minimum. That's still very reasonable. I mean, I would be totally fine with this experience. Goodbye, Bob! And look at that. 69 FPS average is what we ended up with. Also, another thing that I noticed is that if you enable FXAA, which is usually not intensive on AMD and NVIDIA GPUs, it goes down from 72 frames per second to 67. It drops by 5 frames per second, 5 or 6. That is a big drop, so that's why I disabled FXAA. Now it's Dota 2. I think we can play this one at 1080p resolution if we keep everything on low, and that's exactly what we're using right here on the settings. Oh my goodness, look at those sweet frames per second! Damn! Alright. After seeing CS2 at 720p below 100 frames per second, I thought Dota 2 wasn't going to be that much better, but oh boy, it is. Damn, this is really nice. So we should increase the settings. Let's do like medium and set the render resolution to 100%. So we're at native 1080p using medium settings this time around. I'm actually gonna restart this. Okay, medium settings, especially at native 1080p, is way more intensive. We're in the 60s, so that means that it will drop from 60 FPS, but I mean, if you want 60 plus all of the time, you already know 1080p low settings there for you. Alright, finally, this is what I wanted to see. Thankfully, it's not stuttering. So it's actually a decent enough experience to play Dota 2 with. Like, the mouse is still at 60 frames per second or 60 hertz. Ooh, down into the lower 30s. So you can still control things, you can click things very well. And actually, I can play the game all day long with these kinds of FPS, because I'm not a competitive player here in Dota 2, or at least I don't try too hard. That's why I always die and lose my games. But that's another story. Alright, a lot of things happening, finally, look at that. And it doesn't even dip into the 20s. I'm surprised here. Time for the most recent Call of Duty, which launches in this card, and we're playing it at 720p resolution using the minimum settings with 100% resolution scale. Something tells me we will need to use some upscaling, but let's try it like this. Oh! Oh! It's still like this! Intel, what are you doing? How is this possible? A year ago, when I tested Intel Xe graphics in Call of Duty Warzone 2, it was running with like 40 to 50 FPS most of the time at 720p with FSR, I think, on quality or maybe even performance, I don't know. But it was giving playable FPS in that game, but it looked like this. And they still haven't fixed it with the latest drivers. Why? Whoa! That's crazy! Okay, let's try some upscaling. Why is XeSS not here? What? Did they remove XeSS from... No, it's here! The driver is obsolete. Why? I want to emphasize we are running the latest drivers for this iGPU, okay? Performance FSR 2.1. Let's go. Can we make it playable? Oh boy, starting to get 30s. Okay, it's still gonna drop from 30. Now, granted, this is the most intensive multiplayer map that I've come across so far. I just want to kill and then I will play in another map. There we go. See that, guys? See that? See those skills? Oh yes, 30 FPS kills. Yeah, it works. It works. It just is a shame that it looks like this. Let's move on to another map. I want to check it out. Alright, apparently it's getting very similar FPS to what we were seeing before, guys. Oh, this guy's dead, okay, and this is an enemy's machine gun, the sentry thingy. Please, just how many times do you need to do that? Also, I just noticed that in this map we don't have any of those graphical issues. It's probably due to the terrain that was in the other map, guys. Oh, why did I pick this up? Isn't this a shotgun? Oh, come on. Damn it. Alright, that was very quick, thankfully. We have 40 FPS on average, 31% low, so I guess it's It's not completely awful. Alright, it's time, my friends. It's time for Alan Wake 2. Just to see that Modern Warfare 3 was in fact super definitely very playable. Your GPU does not support all the recommended features. This might lead to poor performance, visual glitches. Oh, it's nothing that I'm not used to at this point. Oh, this is not how I remember Alan Wake 2. Oh, hello. No. I couldn't even go over the settings to show you guys. But I set it to 640 by 480. Lowest settings, everything, obviously. Let's move on. Red Dead Redemption 2. Let's go over the settings. We're playing at 720p using ultra textures, and everything else is on the minimum settings aside from TAA. If you disable that, it will look really bad. Well, it kind of also looks really bad with it enabled because it's 720p and it has a lot of noise around moving things. But hey, if you disable it, you'll have all of that noise everywhere. So moving on, getting just below 30 frames per second most of the time. This isn't really one of the most intensive areas either. In those it will probably drop into like the 20s and from 20 maybe. So I think that's a good time to enable FSR, right? We got FSR 2.0 right here. I'm gonna go with quality. It's exactly the same. And why does it look so terrible? Like, if I'm moving the camera around, you can see, like, the trees are looking as they're supposed to look. But if I stop, it turns into a freaking watercolor painting. What is this? Well, at least while I'm moving here with Roach, very slowly, things are looking as they are supposed to look. But again, if I stop, look at that transition. What is this? Okay, let's try out performance FSR. Oh boy, how is it gonna look, guys? Oh my god, I can't even... Oh boy, now it's pixelated at the same time. Oh, this is so gorgeous. What the actual hell? And we're finally at 30 FPS at least. Holy crap. Never do this, guys. Don't play Red Dead Redemption 2 on this iGPU. If you're moving, it's fine. It looks okay. But it's still below 30 FPS. Okay, now I disabled FSR altogether, and we are at 50% resolution scale, which means that the game is now running at 360p. And... right, it does not look artistic like previously. And finally, we are well above 30 frames per second, so now we can actually play the game. Okay, finally, we're here. I can read it. Strawberry. Yes, perfect. The vision is perfect, my friends. Getting down into the low 30s. No, come on. Don't drop from 30. 30 FPS flat. Oh, come on. 29. 29. It still drops from 30 FPS. Most of the time it's going to be playable, but in big cities, nope. Well, playable. These graphics are terrible. Just don't do this to yourselves. I'm proud to say, my friends, that the next game is a blast. ARK Survival Ascended. It blasts the GPU so hard that it crashes on a black screen. It's amazing. Awesome experience. Oh, so Fortnite is having another meteorite? Seriously? Again? Anyways, we're playing at 720p using performance mode, far view distance and high textures, and it seems like it's gonna be okay, because while dropping, it's not really dropping from 60 too often. Wait a second, can we land here? I'm gonna start counting our FPS. Oh, yes we can! Nice! Okay, oh, you jump like crazy, holy crap! Do you die if you go to the fire? No. Okay, good. Hi! No! No, I think I'm gonna die. No, wait a second. We are protected by the meteorite. Yes, we got this. Okay, weapon. Where's the guy? Nowhere to be seen. We're getting very high FPS while looking up, so I'm gonna stop that. All right, so we're getting 100 FPS down here. That's quite nice. But this is the OG map. It's less intensive than the previous map. Still, I'm very, very glad we're seeing decent FPS and decent performance. Now, it still feels a little bit like Stutter Night, because unless you play in DirectX 12 mode, it's always gonna stutter this game while rendering and loading the shaders at least. So that's definitely a bot, right? And that's another one right there. Okay, I got one. Oh my god, what a huge stutter. Oh, I hate that. I hate that so much. Now, thankfully, if you play a couple of matches and load in all of the shaders or compile them, you know, it will get smooth, okay? Those 1% lows are going to be a little bit better, and you can play the game absolutely fine. It's just that this is the first match I'm playing of Fortnite this week. Now, something interesting that I'm not sure you've noticed already is that the GPU usage isn't maxed out. It's at 80 to 90% most of the time. That's normal in performance mode. It's not a CPU bottleneck. Obviously, the 13600K overclocked can handle even like a 4070 or 4070 Ti here in this title with 300 plus frames per second if you play at the performance mode. But for some reason, performance mode never seems to utilize GPUs fully, or at least some of them don't get fully utilized. And that's what we're seeing right here. Forza Horizon 5 is up next, 720p resolution using no upscalers and the very low settings preset. And look at this, my friends, it's getting 60, well, yeah, it dropped from 6, but it was getting 60 for a moment. Oh my god, the stuttering. No, please don't stutter that much. Maybe it was just because we started the game. Oh my god, that could also be another one-off. Usually this game has a few little stutters at the beginning, okay? At the first 30 seconds or so. I'm gonna start counting the FPS now. Hopefully it loaded everything that it needed to load. All right, I'm not gonna touch the FPS counter again. All right, if it stutters, it is what it is. It's something that we see with other integrated GPUs, even on like the AMD side of things with Radeon 780Ms and stuff. They usually stutter a little bit here in Forza Horizon 5. They also have those little inconsistent frame time spikes here and there. So this is what you can expect. It's still a playable experience. And fun story, oh, it's dropping. It's starting to drop quite a bit into the 40s. Not terrible in terms of averages once again, and even the FPS that we get in the city is just a 1% low skill, the experience a little bit. Again, if you can notice them very much. But as I was saying, something interesting. Oh my god, why is it dropping so much? And why don't you allow me to say this sentence? Come on, let me finish the sentence. Something interesting is that I was gonna make a GT 710 video for today, the GDDR5 2GB version, but the seller bailed on me. Yeah, I was gonna buy it in the used market. It's something that happens sometimes. So I decided to do the UHD 770. Hopefully you guys like it as well. But I can tell you that this feels like an RTX card compared to the GT 710, so yay. Guys, oh my god, no, it's starting to stutter like crazy. No, stop it, god damn it. I was so happy to see good FPS in Rust. So we're playing this one at 720p native resolution using the potato quality mode. 300 shader level, draw distance set to 1500, but I guess I'm gonna set it to like 800. This one I'm gonna set it to like 200 something. Oh my god, what happened to the mouse? Look at that input lag. Okay, I guess it was just applying things. Okay, this is the rest of the settings. All right, here we go. Hopefully it's not gonna stutter as much. Look at that RAM usage. Rust is absolutely insane when it comes to VRAM and RAM utilization. Holy crap, what the... Okay, alright, let's start counting our FPS. Aside from those couple of stutters at the beginning, it seems like it's now a pretty decent and playable experience, isn't it? Okay, this is the outpost. It's getting very similar FPS to what we saw previously. Inside of here, same thing. Yeah, I'm not gonna spend my time here. It's a little less intensive than forest areas. And you know what? I'm gonna say this. I would be totally fine with this Rust experience. Why did everything sharpen up all of a sudden? Oh, it's the radiation. Okay. As I was saying, this is playable. I would be fine playing the game with these graphics, although not on a 42-inch monitor that I'm using at the moment, but on like a 15-inch monitor, it would be fine. It's not as potato as the default potato settings, you know, because the shader level still makes a huge difference. I mean, if I set that to 100, look at the ground now. Now this looks like a potato. And it doesn't even improve the FPS by much, so definitely use that at 300. Starfield is next. Good stuff. Now it's the game that runs sort of, on a GT 1030. Assassin's Creed Mirage at 720p res, 100% resolution scale, which we will turn down in a little bit, and the lowest settings with 69% sharpness. Wow, such a great experience, right? Lovely. Okay, resolution scale is now at 50%. Let's try this. This is 360p. Ooh, it looks so much blurrier. Damn, it's still using some TAA, you know. That's why it looks very blurry. We got like 5 to 7 more FPS, I guess. Maybe a little bit more, actually, sometimes. Okay, so 20s. Same story as Cyberpunk. It could be playable for someone used to iGPUs all their life. Can we try like XeSS performance and try to aim for like 30 FPS? So it will try to lower the resolution to the point where it actually achieves 30 frames per second while using Intel XeSS. Oh my god, that looks way better than 360p with TAA. Although super pixelated, and it's actually shaking when I'm standing still, which is gonna be very annoying, you know, and bad for your head as well. But if you play in bursts of like 5 minutes, it should be fine. I don't know. But yeah, it still drops. So that's it for Assassin's Creed Mirage. I did not expect this to work. I didn't even expect it to launch, because it doesn't launch on, for example, a GTX 750 Ti, which is a much stronger GPU than this, but I guess this doesn't lack full DirectX 12 support, so... Valorant was supposed to be next, but this is what we get. A freaking error message every time I tried. I have TPM enabled, I have secure boot enabled, I have changed the secure boot in the BIOS to standard, to off, to enabled, to custom. It never works. I'm done with Valorant. Baldur's Gate 3. Look at those gorgeous. So this is actually getting around the same FPS as the GT 1030, but the GT 1030 was at 720p low settings, or maybe even at 1080p, I don't remember it well, but this one is at 720p lowest settings and with performance FSR 2.2. So it's really terrible. It's like minimum settings in the game and it gets 20 FPS in the city area. This is a very intensive area, of course, so expect a little bit more FPS outside of here, but it's still not what I'd call enjoyable, because these graphics look like crap. Like, it's super pixelated, you can clearly see it, and if you disable FSR, it looks decent, but you lose a little bit of FPS, and it gets down to 15 sometimes. Yeah. It's a turn-based game though, so it might be playable with these FPS. I don't recommend it though. My friends, it's time for the Apexo Lendario. Apex Legends. This is at 720p using lowest settings with very low textures. Here we go. And we're starting in the most intensive area in the entire map, which is this waterfall right here. It's been broken ever since this map released, my friends. Like, they have not fixed the FPS drops in this area. Look at this. It's dropping into the 20s. It's actually very similar, and it reminds me of the experience that I had on a HD 7970M laptop from 2011, 10? It's probably 2011 or 2012 laptop. It was a high-end laptop. No! Alright, and over here you can see it's running way better than the waterfall area. Of course, to be expected once again, because that's what happens in Apex Legends. Some areas are very, very easy to run, and you will actually achieve a high refresh rate experience in stuff like GTX 1060s and so on. And in other areas, it can actually drop by quite a bit. Oh boy, okay, wait a second. Come on. Alright, oh, hello. Okay. Oh, no, my god. Oh, things are not really that smooth, guys. Oh, Jesus Christ. Again, seriously? I can't play like this. We're very much exposed. Oh, there's a guy there. I am very exposed here. I don't like it. I'm gonna go behind this rock and stay here for the entire game. I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm kidding. But yeah, the 60 FPS average experience is quite decent. And as I was saying, in that first game that we died very early on, this is giving me those 7970M vibes. So that's actually not terrible. Although it's still a little bit slower than that that GPU. I don't think it dropped from 60 FPS very often. I mean, most of the time it's playable and it can be enjoyable above 60 FPS, but those 1% lows, man, that's just terrible. Nope. Yes, guys. It's The Last of Us. I don't know what we're doing here, but let's go. It opens the game, so we gotta test it. So we're playing at 240p. Yes, because it's 720p with FSR2 on ultra performance, everything disabled right here, and over on the graphics settings, everything is set to the minimum, obviously. Oh, wow, that's really pixelated, holy crap. It's to be expected, obviously, it's 240p, so at least we don't really find any graphical issues here in The Last of Us, well, aside from pixelation, but that's not really an issue, we chose to play it that way, right? And what else is there to say? Nothing. Let's go to the next game. We're playing Spooky Man Disaster. It's Spider-Man Remastered. It's really bad, okay? It stutters like crazy. This is at 800 by 600 resolution with TAA, sharpness set to maximum, and everything else set to the lowest. I was actually expecting 20s and teens, so what we're getting right here, but sometimes it goes up to like 30 frames per second. If I go down here, for example, yeah, look at that, we're above 30 FPS. So if you just play this game like a normal person and not like Spooky Man, you can play it at 30 FPS plus. Something that we can comfortably play. Oh, hello, Rupert. How's it going? At the high resolution of 1080p, my friends. This is Minecraft, obviously. And we're playing using Sodium and Iris at 1080p using high settings. So particles are set to all, clouds fancy graphics right here, and so on. Now, the good thing is we can actually increase the render distance like crazy because we have so much CPU headroom in this PC, obviously. We are fully GPU bound, getting 200 frames per second here in this jungle biome with a lot of bamboo, which is very intensive on the GPU, actually, at least for these very weak GPUs. And let's set the chunks to 32 now, maximum chunks value, and haha, it's still playable above 100 frames per second, and it's still GPU bound as well. Oh, damn, this is interesting right here. Okay, now it's actually having a lot of stuttering issues. That's normal for Minecraft. It's rendering in a ton of chunks at the moment because we're moving with 32 chunks enabled. It's actually dropping from 60 FPS. I did not expect to see that, but all right. Okay, game, you win. 12 chunks is the way to go, friends, for it not to stutter that much, or at least it isn't as noticeable this time. You still gotta render chunks, and it's still gonna have some frame time spikes, and it's actually still gonna drop from 200 frames per second, as you can see. Let's find out how many FPS we can get inside of caves. Alright, that's exactly what I was expecting. Up to like 500 or 600 frames per second sometimes. That's absolute insanity, guys. And now we got to the saddest part of the video, guys. Conclusion time. By the way, there's still Rainbow Six Siege running right here in the built-in benchmark, and it got pretty decent results actually for what it is. And what is the UHD 770? Well, as I told you in the intro, it is definitely not meant for gaming. Still, the UHD 770 kind of impressed me in some titles, it disappointed in others, and it's better than the GT 710, so at least there's that. There are also some benefits for professional work, for example with quick-sync technology. You can use that with many iGPUs from Intel, and it actually makes a really big difference in rendering video, for example. But again, yeah, for gaming, don't do this. I really hope we don't come across another mining craze where people are stuck with high-end CPUs and these integrated graphics in them. Right? But with that said, that's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.